We got the check, baby. Woohoo! Take a look at this. How much is it, Spencer?
$22,578.
$22,578.
This video is brought to you by Fast Track, a partner program where Jerry Norton will fund your deals and mentor you. Learn more at fasttrackwithjerry.com.
If you're new here, I'm Jerry Norton. I went from dead broke to millionaire flipping real estate. And after doing 1,000 deals, I created this channel to help you master the art of wholesaling and flipping so you can live your dream life. Be sure to subscribe and click the bell icon to get notified when new videos are released. Well, Spencer, congrats, man. This is an awesome deal. Today is closing day, so we came out here to do a video to talk about this video. And what I want to do, Spencer, is I want to first start out by your introduction to wholesaling. This is a brand new endeavor for you. It's only been a few months, and we know each other because you have been my handyman, maybe not anymore. You've been my handyman at my personal residence. You've been over to the house a ton, doing all kinds of work on the house. And one of the things on your to-do list was to hang my YouTube plaque that YouTube sent me. After 100,000 subscribers, YouTube gives you a silver play button award. And so so you knew I flipped houses, right? But you didn't really know a whole lot about it.
Right.
And then what happened? You're nailing this plaque up on the wall, and what happened?
So I'm nailing this plaque up on the wall, and the comment that you had made is, yeah, I don't lift a hammer, right? So that's in the back of my mind, right? I've got a flipper here who doesn't lift a hammer. I'm putting this plaque up on the wall, and I see that it's 100,000 subscribers for your YouTube channel. And I had to figure out what you did if you had 100,000 subscribers, and so that's what I ended up binge watching Jerry Norton for the next 1 or 2 months before I even mentioned anything to you.
Okay.
About
yeah,
it.
I didn't know that. So then he kind of says to me, "Hey, so I've been learning about flipping. I've been watching your YouTube channel," and then we started the conversation there, and you had expressed to me, "Man, I really want to change what I'm doing. Being a handyman contractor isn't working, right? It wasn't meeting your goals you had, and you weren't feeling like that was on a path that was going to create financial freedom." And so we started talking about that, and then one thing led to another, and you ended up in my mentoring program called Fast Track. So you went through that whole program and learned a ton, I think, and now it was like, okay, I gotta start taking action, which is amazing, because a lot of people get stuck in the education phase. And it's easy to stay there because you tell yourself, well, I got to learn something else first. I got to learn something else first, or I don't know enough yet to actually do something. And you didn't. You actually took that leap of faith, started applying it, and took action. Ended up getting this deal right here, this house behind us. You got the contract on it. Today, you assigned it to a cash buyer, and now we're going to a closing where you're going to walk away with how much?
$22,578.
And don't forget the $78, right? So
right.
$22,578 is your proceeds, and that's no money out of pocket, right? Didn't lift a finger, which is a new concept, right? And walking away with this massive check on your very first deal. And we were talking a little bit before that you estimated there was some hair on this and some things to overcome, but you think you had about 7 hours?
7 or 8 hours.
Yeah, 7 or 8 hours total. That's talking to title, that's talking to the buyer, back and forth, seller, all of it. And we did the math that was like 3,000 something an hour, right? It's crazy. So cool. So let's talk about the deal for a second. So this is an inheritance property, meaning that dad died, was elderly. Dad passes away. Mom has Alzheimer's. They move mom in with one of the kids. And the seller, the dad, put the home in a trust before passing away, so he planned ahead. So the trust now owns the property, and one of the sons, was it a son? One of the sons is the trustee, and they just want to sell the property. So, and it's been neglected, right? Dad's lived there for a while, so it's a distressed property. They're kicking around, well, do we fix it up? What do we do? So then Spencer comes along and makes an offer on it, and then goes back and forth. Now, at first, your offer, we talked about it, right? And we're like, okay, we ran comps, we looked at it. And I remember telling you, they're at 215, but Spencer, you gotta be at 205. Like 205 is a good number, that's a deal. And what was that experience like when it's like, wow, they want 215, but Jerry's telling me hold out at 205, I might lose it. Was that scary?
Yeah, it was really nerve-wracking because I thought, I'm gonna lose the deal. If I push this too hard, I'm gonna lose the deal. And so I had to really do a gut check, and I had to trust my mentor.
Yeah.
Right? I had to come in. I did feel like I could go up one notch, and so I went to 206.
Yeah. So you gave him a little. Yeah.
Gave him a little.
But you held firm at your number, and what's amazing is a lot of times you feel like, well, I'm going to miss a deal, and sometimes you do.
Right.
But the reality is, my experience has been more times than not, when you hold out at your number, you get it, or you get close to it, right? So you ended up with a contract with the seller at $206,000.
Yeah.
You use the digital contract in Flipster, which is a software we have. I'll leave a link below if you want that. But it's a software where you can then create your contract. So you sent that over. They digitally signed it.
Yep.
In the contract, it said buyer to pay all closing fees, which is very common that we do as wholesalers because we pass that off to the cash buyer. So it really makes your offer strong with the seller because you're telling them no closing fees.
Right.
So that was in there. Now I bring that up because it's going to come back to us, right? So you get the contract. Step one, right? Step two, open escrow. So we went to Driggs Title.
Yeah.
Penny over there is amazing. If you're here in Phoenix, highly recommend her. We opened escrow with Penny.
Yep.
Sent the contract. No earnest money because it's private. We don't need one. So she opens escrow, and this had a 2-week closing.
Yeah.
So 2 weeks now to find what? Our cash buyer. Right now, how was that a little scary? Like, man, I got 2 weeks to find a buyer.
Yeah, that was scary. And then it was right over Thanksgiving break, and you were out of town with your family, rightfully so. And so it was kind of a little bit of a challenge, but again, following your advice, following your steps, went out and we got some. You got 3 or 4, and I got another one, and it turned into the buyer.
Yeah, so I talked to a couple buyers I knew, and immediately I was like, we got a deal here because we got a 320 cash buyer, we got a 220 cash buyer, and a 225 cash buyer that I knew. And then you went out and did a tactic I teach here on the channel and is my favorite way to find a cash buyer, even when I have a list, even when I know buyers, and that is to find a local active flipper that's already doing deals in the same neighborhood. So I remember you talking to me and you're like, hey Jerry, I know there's some buyers on the table, but should I do that technique of finding a flipper in the area? And I remember saying, well, yeah, why not? Let's do it. So you reached out to a flip that was active. So it hadn't sold yet.
Right.
And it's like 2 streets from here.
It's 2 streets down, yeah.
Yeah, so you knew it was a flip.
Right.
And how did you know it was a flip?
So I went through and I looked at the comps and I could tell it was selling at the high end.
Yeah.
And then you look at the pictures and you can just tell everything's cleaned up, nice brand new gray paint with
Vacant,
the
brand new.
beautiful cabinets and yep.
So immediately it's like, well, that's a flip,
Right.
which means there's an investor, and if they flip that house, possibly they're looking for their next deal.
Right.
And so you called the agent, which is the right way to do it. You called up the listing agent because that agent is the agent for that investor, right? That flipper. So you called the agent, and now we had some challenges with this agent. We'll talk about this, but you called that agent and you basically said what?
Said, hey, I've got a property in the neighborhood, same neighborhood as this other listing that you have. Is your cash investor interested in another deal?
Yeah.
Said, yeah, and he was really excited about it.
Yeah. Well, in fact, didn't he say we are right about to accept an offer
Yeah.
and go pending, and we were right about to start looking for another deal?
Yeah. Yeah. In
So the
fact, he
timing was
said,
impeccable.
Yeah, perfect timing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here they are. They got a buyer. We actually talked to the cash buyer earlier today for about 10 minutes. First time meeting him. He was here at the
Right.
house, and he said he does about 12 to 15 flips a year.
Yeah.
So not a huge flipper, but that's still a pretty active flipper.
Right.
He's probably full time, and so here he is now, ready to go out and look for another deal. Spencer calls him like you couldn't have asked for better timing, and it paid off because you told him 232. Now remember, guys, we got a 220 on the table, a 225 on the table, and now you tell the agent 232. Agent goes back to cash buyer. The agent decides to stay in and represent the cash buyer. Now sometimes the agent will say, hey, here's my buyer, you work it out, I'm good.
Yeah.
But he's like, no, let me help put the deal together, which was terrible. Not that it's terrible that all agents, it was this agent.
It was this agent,
Yeah.
yeah.
Some agents are awesome. So why was this agent difficult?
Well, after 46 years of realtor experience, he had never ever done an assignment agreement.
Not only had he
once.
never done one, he didn't know what it was, and he thought it was some kind of shady thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was like, this isn't right, and he said, we need a lawyer.
Yeah.
And so when you and I are talking about it, we're like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? We got an agent.
Yeah.
We got our buyer. He wants it, you know, because they came back at 231. Right. So 232. He said 231. And so, so what happened? I remember talking to you about, hey, go back to the agent and position yourself this way. And what did you do?
So I said, look, we've got a lot of buyers. You know, we really don't need you to come in and do this,
Yeah.
and we can just take it and go with somebody else.
Yeah.
at
Hey,
this
if you're not
point.
in, so we did a takeaway. We basically
Yeah.
did a takeaway. We said, hey, if you're gonna make it complicated, we're out. We got another buyer. We're not doing a lawyer thing. This is simple. It's a
Right.
one-page document called an assignment, right?
Yeah.
So he looked at the assignment, and I imagine that the buyer was probably like, dude, what are you doing? Let's get a deal done.
Right.
You know, I'm guessing, you know, we weren't part of that conversation, but so he ends up dropping the whole lawyer thing. He had one issue, and that was what? Regarding closing fees.
Closing fees. So they wanted to have the seller pay the closing costs,
Yeah.
and
Their
we
own
agreed-
closing costs.
Right.
Yeah.
Their own closing costs.
Right. Which
So-
we agreed to.
Which
right?
we agreed
Yeah.
to.
Yeah, we weren't quite sure. We knew it'd be a couple $1,000s. So basically, guys, think about what happened. The original contract said buyer pay closing fees. The assignment contract, they wanted to put in there that the buyer pays just their fees, not the seller fees. So we got these fees now in limbo, right? So how did we handle those fees?
So it was real easy, actually. Once you have the good title company,
Yes.
they make it a lot easier. So I called Penny up and we said, hey, can you please take off the seller's closing fees out of my assignment fee?
Yeah.
And
She was
then
like,
just
no
close it.
problem, easy.
Right.
Yeah, which were like about 2,500, weren't they?
2,500.
Yeah. So then really the gross assignment was 25,000, but then when we back out those seller closing fees, it came down to 22.5.
Yeah.
Right. So, but still an amazing deal. Easy to solve that problem when you know kind of how to put the stuff together and you got a good title person.
Right.
So it kind of all worked out. Now, this was a 2-week closing. So what was our next hiccup?
So the next hiccup was getting the payoff from the mortgage holder of this property.
The seller, yeah.
And it was a reverse mortgage that had been sold 2 or 3 times, ended up in the hands of Fannie Mae, and they are just not motivated to do anything very quickly.
Yeah, normally payoffs are like bank sends it in an hour, right? Like
Yeah,
easy. So this was not that way, and it took an extra 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
To close.
Just waiting for the payoff.
Just waiting for the payoff, and you know, but that's part of it. Sometimes you have those delays or you have challenges along the way.
Yeah.
And what I love, Spencer, is that you just kept tackling the next thing and the next thing, working through it, solving problems, and then got to the finish line.
Yeah.
Right? Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This
And
is awesome.
I mean, tell me, how much did you learn actually going through a real deal versus like, you know, education, but doing a real deal?
Yeah, I mean, you learn so much just hands-on. I'm hands-on anyway,
Yeah.
so I like that, but just gaining so much confidence. I mean, if I can tackle this one with a lot of nuances that I wasn't expecting, right, I'm ready for the next deal.
Oh yeah. And
No problem.
I mean, guys, think about how amazing this is on Spencer's first wholesale deal after a couple months of being even introduced to the industry.
Yeah.
After working, you know, long, hard days as a contractor, doing handyman work. I mean, it's just incredible to see this kind of potential in the business.
Right.
And I mean, my first deal was $6,000, and I thought that was all the money in the world. It could have been $1 million. I was so excited, you know.
Yeah.
And so, you know, what's fun about this is you get to now have a taste for what this business can be. And because you've gone through my advanced mentoring program, you know the real goal is not to do a deal, it's to what?
Build a business
Yeah.
that brings in deals.
That's it. It's all about the business. So there's this, you know, it's very cliche to say, you know, that first deal, but anybody can do a deal.
Right.
The goal is to build a business that does deals. And I'm excited to see you do that. And we've had conversations about your team and your systems and your tools. And you're going to do it. And I'm so thrilled. And I can't wait to just be a part of your journey. And I'm just so happy for you, Spencer, that you got your first deal here and that it's $22,500. You know, it's just incredible and a lot of fun. Okay, so guys, do me a favor right now. If you are absolutely thrilled for Spencer for this deal he did, and for karma, so deals like this come back to you, I want you to leave a comment right now and say, Spencer, you are a flipping genius.
Learn from the best.
Super cool. So here's the next steps, guys. We're gonna jump in the car right now. We're gonna head to title over at Driggs Title in Tempe here, 15 minutes away,
Yep.
and pick up your check.
That's right.
Let's
get
go.
some money.
We got the check, baby. Woohoo! Take a look at this. How much is it, Spencer?
$22,578.
$22,578. Man, that's awesome.
Yeah. Thanks, Jerry.
Thank you.
You're the one that made this happen, made this possible. Thank
Proud of you, man. I know we're not supposed to hug with COVID, but it's all right. This is cool, though.
Yeah, it's a blessing.
Special moment.
Thank you.
This is exciting. You got your $22,578 check. And, you know, Spencer, I just want to tell you that it's been just for me to be a part of this process with you and see you go from what you were doing before to now your first deal and building the business. It's just so rewarding for me, and I'm just so grateful to have been a part of your process and part of your journey, and hope to be part of many more, right?
Yeah.
And let's do deals together. Let's keep growing the business. Let's make a lot of money. Let's make this happen. And guys, if you want a check like this, you got to take action. You got to start where you're at, build on each step. You know, keep learning, but keep taking action. If you want to check out my program, go to fasttrackwithjerry.com, and you can learn more about that as well.
This guy's the guy to get you there.
Yeah. What would you tell somebody, Spencer, that is maybe where you were just a few months ago, where everything feels brand new, everything feels overwhelming, there's so much to learn, so much to do, there's all of the fears of will this work? I mean, what could you tell somebody that's maybe in your place just not that long ago?
Yeah, so persistence and you know exactly what you're doing, and so trust the mentor, trust the program, trust the videos, and then take action. Don't wait. Just do it now, and because I think I drug my feet a little bit longer than I needed to, and this could have been me a month ago. So
yeah, awesome.
Don't wait.
Well, many more to come.
Yeah.
Many more to come.
Thanks, Jerry.
All right, thanks for joining us on this video, guys. If you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe. This is the #1 channel on YouTube for all things wholesaling and flipping, and we'll see you on the next video.